All right, we are live once again from Las Vegas, Super Bowl 58 Radio Row at the Las Vegas Convention Center inside Mandalay Bay. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. What we're getting into here, some Niners injury news, a Brandon Aiyuk contract update. We spoke with Arik Armstead, 5-time Pro Bowl right tackle for the Miami Dolphins, because when Brock Purdy replaced Jimmy Garoppolo last year, he did it against Miami. And we also spoke with 3-time All-Pro and future Hall of Famer Darren Woodson on the Niners, as well as Brock Purdy as well. Want to begin on the injury front for San Francisco here. George Kittle with the toe injury, Arik Armstead with that knee and foot injury that he's been dealing with over the last couple of months, going all the way back to Week 13 against the Philadelphia Eagles. As for the latest on Kittle here, didn't practice at all last week following the NFC Championship game, and then this week in Las Vegas, a limited participant at practice on Wednesday. Good news from head coach Kyle Shanahan, though, during his media availability, is that the all-pro tight end is expected to ramp up on Thursday. And in talking with George Kittle this week, seeing him walk around, I walked out onto Allegiant Stadium on Monday night for Super Bowl opening night. He's feeling good. His spirits are lifted. George Kittle is being the normal, vivacious George Kittle, and I expect him to not only play on Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs, but I expect him to play really, really well. And why having Kittle is very, very important for the San Francisco 49ers offense against Kansas City, he can block, and he can help chip on that right side because Colton McKivitz is one of the weaker starting right tackles in the National Football League. The Chiefs this year behind the Baltimore Ravens, number 2 in sack production. Kansas City's defense, I think, is also the best overall defense in the NFL. I think toward the end of the year, they started to have that edge on the Baltimore Ravens. They're so sound at all 3 levels, defensive line, linebacker, and in the secondary. And George Kittle can really exploit you at all 3 levels because he has that ability at the tight end spot. San Francisco, as we know, likes to use Kittle in a variety of ways. In the flat, down the seam, down the number, inside, on a post. He has a diverse route tree, and that's why him and Brock Purdy have been able to link up for a lot of really explosive plays. You hit him with some of those seam balls. He could pick up yards after the catch, great with contested catches, and then is also an awesome red zone weapon. And this year, George Kittle, stop talking about Travis Kelce, who's getting pumped up because of all this Taylor Swift movement. George Kittle was the best tight end in the National Football League this year. That's why he was a first-team All-Pro, first 1,000-yard season since 2019, and I don't think it was particularly close. Next up, let's go to Arik Armstead here. He's going to play a critical role in this game for this 49ers defense against Kansas City on Sunday. He was also limited on Wednesday, has been nursing that foot and knee injury since Week 13 against Philadelphia, but like George Kittle, good news on this front. Also expected to increase that workload at practice on Thursday. That according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. And for this Niners defense, stopping the run is obviously really important. Getting after Patrick Mahomes is going to be vital, too, to the Niners having success in bringing back that 6th Lombardi trophy. And Arik Armstead is going to be a part of the Niners' efforts with containing and stopping Patrick Mahomes with their aerial assault, but also Isaiah Pacheco, maybe Jerick McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the Chiefs' running attack too. So why Armstead is important against this Kansas City offensive attack, which has really started to get it together here over the last few weeks in the playoffs, San Francisco needs to stop the run. If they can't, Chiefs start moving downhill, opens up the pass game and the play-action game where San Francisco has been susceptible. Armstead is a valued run defender on this Niners defense. He's going to have to push the interior of the pocket to make that pocket muddy against Patrick Mahomes. And this 49ers defensive line, I think they have a great opportunity here after being lackluster the last few weeks to dominate this game from a physical component. And if the Niners defensive line can take over this game from a physical element, I think the Chiefs could struggle to match that intensity, to match that physicality and that could be a reason solely why San Francisco wins the Super Bowl. Among my Vegas observations, which I've been passing along all week here from Super Bowl Radio Row, on my X page, on Instagram, Kittle, Armstead, really everybody else who's been on the injury report for San Francisco, moving fine. And the Niners here, they're about as healthy as you could be for playing this weekend of the season. And up until this year, under head coach Kyle Shanahan, they were top 10 in injury rate every year. This year, Shanahan's team has been able to stay healthy. They're reaping the benefits of that. They're very healthy going into the big game on Sunday here in Las Vegas. And finally, we get to see Kyle Shanahan on a big stage with a pretty healthy squad. Elsewhere on the Niners injury report here, Ambry Thomas limited on Wednesday because of an ankle injury, but he's expected to play. Special teams ace and third linebacker Oren Burks limited with the shoulder. Kalia Davis, a full participant. We'll see if he gets elevated to the active game day roster after the Niners opened up his practice window a couple of weeks ago. And then Trent Williams on Wednesday, just a normal veteran rest day for the man that they call the Silverback. Make sure you give me a follow on X. Give me a follow on Instagram. It's the same handle on both platforms, at Chase_Senior. This is kind of a humble brag, but my social media stuff has really been blowing up. And if you want more Niners content, more updates, more insight from Vegas, some reporting from yours truly, you can give me a follow over there. So already on the show, we knocked out the latest Niners injury news. Coming up next, Brandon Aiyuk contract update. An interview with Arik Armstead. He spoke glowingly of Brock Purdy and Darren Woodson, former Cowboy, but a three-time All-Pro, future Hall of Famer, on Kyle Shanahan against Andy Reid. And he also very high on Brock Purdy as well. Our sponsor for today's 49ers Report is Game Time. If you're looking for last-minute tickets, you can get in the door. Lowest price guaranteed at the last minute with Game Time. First-time users, download the app for free. You get $20 off using the code NinersChat. But if you want to go to the big game here in Las Vegas, you can get $100 off by using the code Vegas100. What I love about the Game Time app, you can see where you'll be sitting and the price point at those seats. There are still tickets available for the big game here in Las Vegas. Lofty prices, but you use that promo code Vegas100, you get $100 off. With the Game Time app, you don't just have to go to a sporting event or a football game. You can go to an NBA, Major League Baseball, college basketball, NHL game. We thought about going to the Vegas Golden Knights game here on Tuesday night. We went to the Super Bowl media party instead. Those tickets available. Blue Man Group tickets available on Game Time as well. Download the app. Link is hanging out down in the comments section as well as in the description of this video. Use that code Vegas100, $100 off of the big game. Is a long-term deal coming for Niners wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk? That's story number 2 on the docket for today's 49ers Report. San Francisco, according to everything that I've heard here, what we've talked about previously on the show, is expected to make signing Brandon Aiyuk to a contract extension a priority this offseason. And this is going to be one of the big storylines of this offseason, because the Niners are at this point with where they were with Nick Bosa last year, Deebo Samuel before that, George Kittle, Fred Warner in the years before that, where Brandon Aiyuk is entering the final year of his rookie deal. He doesn't have any long-term financial stability beyond the 2024 season. So he's going to want a contract extension so that he does have that long-term viability and stability with this organization. And next year will be the final year of his rookie deal after San Francisco exercised that fifth-year option on that rookie contract. And Brandon Aiyuk, by all means, has earned a bag. And with his play, with what he means to this Niners culture and this organization, it's my hope and it's my expectation that the San Francisco 49ers are going to pay him some big-time dollars, and he's probably going to become a top 10, top 15 wide receiver because his market dictates that. Brandon Aiyuk, his growth and development every single year that he's been in the NFL has been very impressive. He's increased his receiving production every year that he's been in the NFL. He fits this Niners culture to a T with the physicality that he brings to the table, with his ability to catch balls from Brock Purdy, but also pick up yards after the catch. But he's such a good run blocker, which is something that he's really embraced. And he's really gotten that and adopted that from head coach Kyle Shanahan, and Brandon Aiyuk is just a complete player. Great route runner, great footwork, deep threat, crossers, out routes. He can help you out in the ground game as well, and he's really become a respected team leader. You look at his numbers in his first 4 seasons, and I talk about the receiving production on the uptick every year that he's been in the NFL. He comes in 2020, 60 grabs, 748 yards. Next year, 56 catches, 826 yards. 2022, 78 grabs, more than 1,000. And then in 2023, an all-pro player, 75 catches, 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns. He led the NFL in yards per catch. Analytically, one of the best wideouts in the NFL. Number 2 ranked wide receiver, according to Pro Football Focus, behind Arik Armstead, who was a stud this year. And he grew into Brock Purdy's number 1 receiving option at wide receiver and one of the best long ball threats in the NFL, because that deep ball tracking ability is also another special component to his game. Here's what Ian Rappaport had to say yesterday from Las Vegas on a Brandon Aiyuk contract extension. I haven't heard anything yet, but I do think it's on the Niners, right? This is who you should want to pay. Homegrown talent, someone who, you guys remember, when he first got there, I wasn't sure this was going to work out. It didn't seem like Kyle Shanahan was that thrilled. But then Kyle Shanahan started to fall in love with Brandon Aiyuk. Aiyuk embraced his role. He started to embrace run blocking, which is really important in this offense. During one of the media sessions the other day, Fred Warner was talking about how Brandon Aiyuk has really grown into a great run blocker, and that's a part of the Niners culture, doing whatever you have to do to win the football game. So Aiyuk, contract extension looks to be a priority. That's the latest buzz coming to you from Las Vegas, Super Bowl Radio Row from the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. If you want the Niners to pay Brandon Aiyuk, let's go Brandon. Type pay BA down in the comment section. I want to hear from all Niners fans right here on the Niners Report, kicking it with us right here on YouTube. All right, let's round out the show with this. A national look at Brock Purdy, and it's been fun to talk Brock Purdy with a lot of national talking heads, with current and former players, to get their viewpoints on Brock Purdy. He's really become a pretty polarizing figure. A lot of people like an underdog story, but still a lot of people hate on Brock Purdy. A lot of people like to say that he's a system quarterback. Kyle Shanahan has made him. He's a game manager. He is not a game changer. Well, we sat down with Dolphins right tackle Arik Armstead, who is a 5-time Pro Bowler, as well as 3-time All-Pro safety Darren Woodson, to get their thoughts on the Niners, as well as Brock Purdy. And with Arik Armstead, this is a pretty interesting interview, because last year, Brock Purdy's career took off when he replaced Jimmy Garoppolo when the Niners were down against the Miami Dolphins. Purdy comes in, he's slinging the rock, and he was doing a lot of the things that we're seeing now and that we've seen since. Timing, accuracy, touch, being able to process, dissect defenses. And Armstead saw that from Brock Purdy from game 1. That has continued in his season and a half as a starting quarterback in this league. And Armstead said, Brock Purdy, he's the real deal.
Brock Purdy is the real thing. And it's not those narratives they don't come from many credible avenues and outlets. He's the real thing. There's no question about it. It's crazy. His first game was against us. Garoppolo goes down first quarter, I believe, and Purdy was so unfazed by pressure. He was creating with his feet. He was making plays. He was impressive. First game.
Yeah.
Never heard of the kid. Now we all know who he is, and he's the real thing, man. He's a special talent. He's fearless. He's fearless. I think that's probably what I like about him the most.
Pretty interesting perspective there from Armstead, who has been able to watch Purdy from afar, and obviously have the Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel connections there, and a lot of Niners, Dolphins ties with Armstead, who had a great interview with us here from Super Bowl Radio Row in Las Vegas. Next up, Darren Woodson is eligible to make it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was a 3-time All-Pro with the Dallas Cowboys and a 3-time Super Bowl champion. And for those of you who know ball and like to stay in tune with what's going down across the National Football League, Woodson for a long time was a fantastic analyst on ESPN. So he's credible to talk about the subject matter of Brock Purdy and evaluating the quarterback position as a defensive player who was a star in this league and as a media member. Here's what he had to say about Brock Purdy. He's tired of people calling Purdy a system quarterback.
He's a winner, and he has this mentality. It's like almost like an overconfident arrogance about him. He doesn't, he doesn't give you a whole lot. Even when they take shots at him and give him, not get him on the ground, he doesn't give you a whole lot of wrinkles. Like, hey, that was a good hit or not. He's very focused on the job at hand and what he has to do. And I love the confidence in him. But for me, it was watching him come out in that second half when they could have easily have folded against the Detroit Lions. Look, this team, we can say what we want, but the back end of this season, defensively, they haven't gotten to the quarterback the way they've wanted to. They haven't played the same way. Offensively, in the last 3-4 games, this team has been kind of like a roller coaster ride. They played well, but then they haven't. They've been down. They've had to find a way to come back. And that speaks a lot to who Brock Purdy was.
Purdy, of course, spearheading this 49ers offense, led by head coach Kyle Shanahan, just a terrific play designer and play caller. And that brings me to this from Woodson. This Super Bowl 58 matchup between Kansas City and San Francisco has so many juicy storylines, so many compelling aspects to it. You have the Chiefs trying to get their third Super Bowl championship under Reid and Mahomes. You have San Francisco trying to lock down their 6th Lombardi trophy, which would tie them with the Steelers and the Patriots for the most of all time. But if you love football, and if in particular you love offensive football, Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, two of the best offensive minds that the game has ever seen, and Woodson is in agreement with that.
Two brilliant offensive minds. Look, I had the luxury I don't know if it was a luxury. I played against Andy Reid for a long time, and Andy found ways and wrinkles to beat us all the time late in the 90s. I mean, he was just a tremendous coach, and they didn't win the NFC championship games, but he went to 4 of them at one point and just was just a brilliant mind. Shanahan being the same. And I think that's the luxury of what we're getting. If you're a true football fan, you're getting two best offensive minds in the game. And Shanahan's a guy that it has a great system in place. And I hate the fact of saying a system because I think people take shots at Brock Purdy saying he's a system guy. He's not a system guy. Damn good quarterback. And he got his team to where they are today. But Shanahan runs the ball a certain way, runs that zone offense and finds ways to find the mismatches, whether it be with Deebo or Kittle or, of course, McCaffrey. He has these wrinkles in his offensive game plan where he finds the mismatches he likes.
I'll tell you what, we have had a blast here from Las Vegas. We're trying to provide you with the best Niners coverage right here on YouTube. I think we've been able to do that. Interviews like we showed you on today's show. All access interviews with the San Francisco 49ers, and our coverage is not going to stop. It's going to continue. So make sure you subscribe. And if you've been enjoying our content and you made it to the end of the show, give me a real one, a roll call down in the comments section. Coming up later today, I'm about to jet to the Niners Hotel, and we're going to chop it up with some more Niners players. Those interviews still to come later today on the San Francisco 49ers Report. Don't miss it. San Francisco, we out.